Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pinterest Predicts 2024 webinar. My name is Clément Schwartz, and I'm the Managing Director of EMEA Growth and UK and Ireland here at Pinterest. My favorite predicts for the year is Western Gothic, not only because I used to live in Texas, just moved from Texas to Ireland 6 months ago, but because I've always liked it. So today I'm joined by a brilliant lineup of experts from our European team, Claire Caillot from our creative strategy team, Marty on the German retail team, and Sandra on CPG UK. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we will be sharing some of the breakout trends we see coming in 2024 as part of our annual Pinterest Predicts Not Yet Trending report. Now, some of you may be familiar with the information we're about to present today, and for others, may be brand new. But the great thing about today is that we will have a Q&A section at the end where you'll have the opportunity to ask questions to the team. You can add your questions in the Q&A module at the bottom of your Zoom screen now. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you're having any tech issues, pop it in the Q&A box, and our back of house team will try to support you. And the webinar will be recorded and will be shared with you via email. All right. So Pinterest sits at the intersection of search, social, and commerce, which means that every day, people on Pinterest are searching for inspiration, curating and collaborating with others, and ultimately buying products from great brands. Pinterest is like the one place that brings this all together. To bring everyone the inspiration to create a life they love is our mission. We often say it's different here, and it truly is, because of the mindset people have when they are on Pinterest. Other platforms will show you what someone did or is doing right now. On Pinterest, they come to plan. In this case, their entire festival experience before it happens. That mindset and those intent signals are what make pinners so valuable to advertisers. Pinners come to discover their next great idea. In fact, 97% of search results on Pinterest are unbranded. They come to decide by searching for specific ideas and making plans with them. There are over like 6 billion searches a month. Then increasingly, they come to do by trying and buying what they find on Pinterest. We've seen more than a 50% increase in click-throughs and saves of buyable items. 9 years ago, the team thought, what could all of this future-focused information mean to you as marketers? Well, because we know that marketers need to be able to see the next big trends coming. But keeping pace with the speed of culture today is no easy thing. And knowing which trends are actually worth investing in, well, even harder, especially with a new fad seeming to trend every single day on social media. The latest viral video hit that you saw on social media, that's not really a trend. Who here saw Kylie Minogue's Padam dance come and go? That's a fad, and it won't capture your audience attention for long. Fast fads might be fun to watch, but they're unpredictable. They come out of nowhere and then fade just as quickly. They give you a limited window of time to act and to make impact with your audience around it. So fads flicker and fade, but our trends that we are discussing today, they have staying power. At Pinterest, we don't call a trend unless it's a true evolution in consumer behavior, a change in the cultural zeitgeist, and a shift from the norm to new, opening new ways for you as marketer to meaningfully connect with your audience. At the end of this session, our goal is that all of you leave this virtual room with the confidence to take action on our trends for all of your businesses in effective ways. As we continue to look ahead into the next 11 months of 2024, we predicted 23 breakout trends. And we've curated a few of the trends that we're most excited about for your business to share with you today. But before we get to the good stuff, let's talk about how we got to our predictions this year. It's not guesswork, that's for sure. We have a great track record. In fact, 80% of the trends we called in the past came true for the last 4 years in a row. This proved right at 80% of the time. Came true as in they sustained and they grew in the years we predicted they would. Not a fad, a real trend. And now I'll pass it over to Claire to go over how we made this happen.
Thank you, Clément. Hello, everyone. So let's take a quick step back to discuss how it is that we get to this 80% level accuracy for the past 4 years in a row. To achieve this, we have a very rigorous, best-in-class methodology built on forward-facing predictive analytics. We dive into the big data, we distill the trends, and then we check for a climb. When we dive into the big data, we mean that we set a volume and growth threshold to sift through the billions of searches that happen each month on Pinterest from people who are planning their lives and taking action. Then we layer in our machine learning-backed predictive methodology to ensure that we're calling the most cutting edge of trends. We then distill the trends. After the initial pull, our cross-functional teams of creatives, strategists, and researchers come together to identify patterns in the data. We then distill our searches into distinct trends, and we work with our external vendor, Gauge Labs, to ensure inclusivity and global representation. Then we check for the climb. Accountability is at the heart of this process, which is why we constantly grade ourselves to make sure that the trends that we call really continue to climb. And it's paid off. As we've said, 80% of the trends that we called continue to climb for the year that follows, for 4 years in a row. We do the work, but really the secret ingredient behind our trends is our audience. People on Pinterest aren't here to passively scroll like they do on other platforms. As Clément mentioned, pinners are planners. Whether it's their next meal, their next look, or their next home upgrade, they're on Pinterest planning, and they're primed to act when they're open-minded, open to brands, and are ready to make a purchase. It's their planning mindset that makes our trends uniquely future forward. It's how we know what's next. And here's why trends on Pinterest work harder in just 3 points. They start earlier. Because of our audience's planning mindset, trends on Pinterest start earlier than everywhere else on the internet. They last longer. They don't just start earlier, but trends on Pinterest last 20% longer than trends that show up elsewhere online. And they're much more actionable. People aren't just coming to Pinterest to search for the trends, they're also planning, saving, and shopping for them. We looked back to see how our audiences engaged with some of the Pinterest Predicts trends from 2023. Mushrooms is a great example from last year. It was all about mushroom-shaped plush decor. This is a great example to show how pinners weren't just passively browsing the trend, they were shopping it. We saw a 200% increase in saves of shoppable pins related to mushrooms, and a whopping 12 times increase in outbound clicks to merchant sites that related to mushrooms. We also saw the trend take off very much so in the media as well, with article upon article, and we're still seeing it everywhere today. Next up, drumroll please, it's the moment that you've all been waiting for, handing over to Marty and Sandra to walk you through a selection of this year's Pinterest Predicts trends.
Thank you, Claire. Well, I'm a big fan of the mushroom decor, but now it's time to look towards 2024, which already started, and find out what are some of the biggest trends in this year's Pinterest Predicts report. So as you can see, we have many exciting trends this year, and our predictions span across food and drink, home, fashion, beauty, and more. Today, we're just going to focus on a few of these trends, but you can, of course, access the full report at pinterestpredicts.com. Remember, even though we've categorized trends under specific verticals, each theme can be used in more creative ways across verticals and to reach audiences in exciting, unexpected ways. We'll tell and show you how to do this as we go along. But firstly, let's start with home decor, one of the biggest themes on Pinterest across EMEA markets. We see these themes starting with home searches, inspiring our new house design, our room refresh, and so on. But we do expect to see these pop up in personal style and beauty choices alike. It's very exciting. Now, the first trend you already heard about, it was close to Clement's heart, and it's also close to mine, as I'm a big fan of Western riding, wearing a cowboy hat, galloping through the mountains in a small Western ranch. So Western Gothic would also be my trend of choice. We saw this start to show up in fashion last year, and it's really emulated into the home space. It's about mixing vintage Americana chic with the country vibe, the dark hues, the earthy colors. Gen Z and boomers especially plan to bring the Wild West to their homes this year. And on the right side, you can see some of the main trending searches that make up this trend. As Claire talked through our methodology, we have distilled down these topics and these form the Western Gothic trend, which we'll see become a cultural norm. Now, coming next, completely the opposite side of the color spectrum, it's bright pop kitchens. We're now moving away from traditional home aesthetic into a more expressive space. Farmhouse or rustic kitchens, make your way for kitsch decor. It's all about the colors, quirks, the eccentric and retro pink kitchen searches leading the way in that trend. So this year, Gen X and boomers will spruce up their cooking area with retro finds, with vintage appliances and jarring pops of paints. And you can see how that transcends into eccentric fashion too. And some of you may recall a trend from a few years back, dopamine dressing. Now, finally, we move into silver tones and bold chrome that will continue to grow in 2024. Think metal furniture, chrome finishes, and all the shiny elements in your house. But it's not just home. We see this across fashion and beauty too. As an example, metallic nail art is up 295% this year. Gen Z and millennials are driving the hot metal aesthetic. And I bet silver spoons will be all in as well. What do you think, Sandra?
Well, no spoons, Marty, but let me tell you what's hot for food and drinks, a category that is near and dear to my heart. Unveiling the ultimate all-rounder from food to beverages and to the matching fits. Tropic Like It's Hot is driven by two completely different generations. In 2024, Gen Zers and boomers are driving this aesthetic, complete with hibiscus prints, tasty mocktails, and hot, hot, hot pink. Goodbye banana bread. Hello, pineapple mocktails and crushed pineapple upside down cake. I don't know about you, but I am happy to say goodbye to banana bread once and for all. But beyond food, we are also seeing a movement in the home decor design space with searches for tropical chic decor up 110%, coconut aesthetic up 35% and growing. If there's a versatile trend, it's this one. Going right to the other end of the scale, melty mashups came from a lot of searches on Pinterest for food combinations in a very unexpected yet indulgent way. What makes this trend stand out is that it's really grounded in comfort foods across a variety of cuisines. So think from mouth-watering cheeseburger tacos to comforting carbonara ramen. Unusual but delicious. How can a brand outside the food category highlight this trend, you might ask? If you're an entertainment brand, why not combine a delicious pairing of, say, a double feature or binge watch ideas inspired by mashup foods?
Delicious. And speaking of mashups, these work perfectly for fashion too. So let's see what our pinners are mashing up this year in fashion. Well, it's mashing the old and the new. So we're introducing our very own eclectic grandpa. That's it. If you need to name one, just one style inspiration for 2024, who would that be? It's your grandpa. Just as Macklemore sang, we'll be heading to the thrift shop to find our grandpa styles. It's Gen Z and boomers that will embrace their grandpa core and bring eclectic and expressive elements to their wardrobes and the everlasting denim jackets. And you know, finding your perfect grandpa style does sound like a fun hobby of sorts. So speaking of, let's see what new interests and activities pinners will be trying out this year. This one, you could tell, I feel in that zone. So from home decor to fashion and beauty ideas, a home mood will bubble up in 2024, inspired by our favorite, or maybe sometimes not so favorite, invertebrate. This trend is a perfect example of what differentiates trends on Pinterest. Our trends go deeper than anywhere else on the internet and can inspire a full-blown aesthetic. So it starts with the jellyfish, and whether it's a squishy hat, maybe a translucent lamp, or a tantalizing haircut, you can inspire audiences in many ways with this under the sea aesthetic.
From under the sea to on the ground, pinners are really making a racket. Excuse my pun, I can't help myself sometimes. This classic racket sport is back and bigger than ever. Gen Z and millennials are in particular smitten with this hobby. Forget Wimbledon, it's all about badminton. With searches up over 62% year on year, this love surge for the sport has given Pinterest Predicts status. Not only is the actual sport spiking on Pinterest, the entire world is around it too. From what to wear, to what to pack, to even badminton trash talk. Yes, it is a thing, the numbers do not lie. And while so many trends we would love to show you, particularly, you know, a few favorites of mine, but we won't get into it. It's impossible to do it all today. So let's close on a special one for all you marketers who are either parents, former kids, or working on a brand that is relevant for parents. Our next trend is called Inchstones. So what's really beautiful about this next trend is that it's all about celebrating so many meaningful moments in a child's life, beyond just the expected or more traditional ones, like a first birthday or first day of school. For parents in 2024, tiny triumphs will make the heart grow fonder as they sprinkle party vibes on their kids' not so grand moments, but still so important. Caretakers are looking for small victory celebration ideas, such as monthly milestone ideas, potty training reward ideas, and my first tooth party. Again, these are just a few of the 23 trends that are featured on our Pinterest Predicts 2024 report. Make sure to check it out, the full report, at pinterestpredicts.com. But we know what you're thinking. So how can I take action? This all looks great. The fantastic thing about our trends is that there are a variety of ways that anyone from a small business to a global brand or even a creative agency can harness the power of Predicts and really supercharge their marketing game. There's no one size fits all approach here, but our goal is to show you how Predicts can be a secret weapon regardless of your size or resources. And not only do trends on Pinterest inspire real action from people, they also offer a broader opportunity for you as a marketer, business, or brand. So for example, you can, influence your product innovations, use these trends to influence your product roadmap, craft creative concepts. So leverage these trends to craft captivating campaigns, develop fresh storytelling, or stand out in the crowd. And finally, inform your content calendar. Let these trends guide your content strategy, ensure ongoing relevance, and keep your audience engaged throughout the year. One particularly effective way you can take action on a Pinterest trend is by sponsoring one. There has never been a better time for a brand to become an official sponsor of a Predicts trend. We know some of you have already locked in your trend sponsorships, and we can't wait to see what you do. So now over to Claire, who can tell you how to get creative with these trends.
Absolutely. Sponsoring a trend also means that you're not in it alone. You get direct access and help from our team, Creative Strategy. Take this pin, for instance, from Trip Top. Fake brand, excellent name. They've invested in the badminton trend that Sandra shared with you guys earlier. They want people to find the best badminton breaks. Without this trend, they would have promoted city breaks or country escapes, just like everybody else. But this trend has enabled them to stand out amongst their competitors and bring pinners something different and relevant in a different way. In other words, the Pinterest Predicts report gives you a bit of a playbook of creative sparks. Pinterest Predicts in 2023 called out the home fronts trend, as searches like front door transformation and foyer entryway decor ideas were both on the rise. Deluxe implemented a multi-objective approach that targeted a broad audience with inspo-worthy ad creative to drive awareness and product consideration. And let's just say that the use of the trend badge really showed some incredible results. It had higher ad recall, higher click-through rates, and, most importantly perhaps, a massive lift in action intent. In terms of where to even start with your ideation, there are 3 simple strategies to help you find your way into a trend. The first is direct. Directly align with a trend that seamlessly underscores the value proposition of your category, your product, or your brand. Think Blue Beauty, sponsored by a makeup brand that has an entire blue palette coming out. The next is adjacent, which is tapping into trends that are adjacent to your brand or product to reach new audiences. For example, the kitchens trend and a food brand. Completely different verticals, but they live in the same universe. And finally, my personal favorite, unexpected, which is when you creatively connect to non-endemic trend or a non-endemic trend to allow you to surprise and delight your audience, as well as reaching a net new one. For instance, there's a trend, Head to Glow, all about lavish self-care, glowy body care, and at-home spas. And for instance, a pet food brand could create a pet spa day treats campaign or a snack and spa series built around how to pamper your pet. You can also access the Pinterest Trends tool to learn more about what's trending right now. This self-serve tool gives you the power to become your very own data-backed trend spotter. You can access it through trends.pinterest.com, and it enables real-time, actionable insight to increase performance. In fact, the Pinterest Trends tool is the only industry tool that lets you filter by trend type. So is it a growing trend, a top trend, a seasonal trend, and by keyword, date range, age, interest, gender. So thank you all for your time. You are now officially all bona fide Pinterest Predicts experts. To see the full report, pop your phone out and scan the QR code on screen. And now we'd love to hand over to you guys and to answer any questions that may have come up during the webinar. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. That's been great. Again, apologies for the slight sound issues at the start. Don't worry, we will be sending a full recording and the deck as well. So you will be able to hear any moments that you may have missed due to technology, even in this day and age. Okay, well, I will kick us off with our first question, which in fact is about favorite trends. And Sandra, if I might come to you, what are some of your favorite trends?
Well, Marty, you might see from my background, I absolutely love Dirt Flirts. So it's all about off-road camping, getting into nature, which I absolutely love. So between that and Eclectic Grandpa has to be my favorite. I am one to love thrifting. So going into vintage shops and yeah, so I guess raiding other people's grandparents' wardrobes.
That's awesome. Great. Ooh, well, the second question then is, how can we adapt marketing strategies to align with the Predicts trends for 2024? Claire, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely. I think the best way to do it is honestly to think outside of your own vertical. When you do things unexpectedly, it really does delight pinners. However, I will say that sponsoring a trend is also a great way to get started because you're then able to get access to the creative strategy team, as I mentioned, so you're not in it alone, and we can help ideate with you. In terms of your marketing calendars and the trends, there are certain trends that are really endemic to certain moments. So if you can try to pair a moment with a trend, that's a really powerful combination.
Right. Thank you, Claire. Okay, so the next one is, do we see these trends as evolutions of previous trends, or are these more net new? Perhaps I can speak to that a little bit. So some of you may have been following our trends report year on year, and you might remember, dopamine dressing, which now has evolved into the kitchens trend. So a lot of these themes are ongoing and they move from vertical to vertical. And because of the longevity of these trends, we see that users come back to these topics and they just reinvent them in different ways. So coming back again to how you feel about these trends and how you can activate on them, don't just take the trend for what it stands for in its current form. Think outside the box, apply it to different areas, and just have imagination and have inspiration in every way you use the trend. From our methodology, we'll see that they will last longer and they will be here forever. Well, not forever, but they'll be here for a while. And yes, they may evolve in different topics, but we're excited to see what this year brings and more. Now, the next one is what actions, so it's slightly not so much for the trend topic, but a bit different. So what actions has Pinterest taken to make it such a positive place on the internet? Perhaps Sandra?
Yeah, I'll jump on this one. So this is something that I hold really close to my heart. And one of the reasons I was so proud to join Pinterest over 3 years ago. So Pinterest has been committed to introducing proactive policies for really a more inspiring internet. So way back in 2017, we launched a health policy which blocked misinformation, banning political campaigns to reduce disinformation, rolling out mental health support, and banning anti-vaccine content way back in 2020. We also have banned weight loss ads and also introduced ban on climate misinformation. So really building a trust, so ensuring that it's brand safe. In addition to this, we really wanted to make sure to continue to center putting pinners first and launched industry-leading experiences. So like skin tone ranges or hair pattern searches, really giving users the tools to find beauty results that are just right for them. And I think all of that together, just continuing to keep it positive, a place for yourself and not your selfie.
Right, thank you. Now, I see a few folks have asked questions around how much does it cost to sponsor a trend and a bit more details around those mechanics. Now, actually, the best thing that you can do is to speak to your Pinterest representatives and we'll be able to share details because, yes, there are certain packages that we have, but we need to, of course, understand the demographic, the country in which you're applying and so on. So yeah, just speak to a Pinterest rep and we'll be able to make the perfect strategy for you. Right. Now there's also a few questions around, is there a trend specific to an individual vertical or to individual topics? So we've seen premium book publishers, we've seen nursery and baby room trends that come up as questions as well. So the way you can think about these trends is that you, again, can use them across these verticals. So they may not directly relate to your individual topic, but the small changes that you can make to your nursery room, or maybe adding some of the metallic elements there so that, let's say there's a little mirror shining light off in the kids' room as well. Those can all be ways in which you could inspire that trend. And for ways to find individual topics, again, go back to the Pinterest Trends tool, as that is your place that you can see at the moment which individual keywords and which individual themes are on the rise for your specific topic.
I would also add to have a look at the report because this is exactly how we think about things when we are building the report. So when you look at the report for each trend, even for, eclectic grandpa, which is traditionally a fashion trend, we might have a suggestion in there for how to activate it if you're a food brand, how to activate it if you're a travel brand. So really have a look at the report because we're there with you. We're there to help you own the trends across verticals.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so what is the scope of these trends is another question. So are these trends worldwide? Would anyone like to take that?
Absolutely. So these trends are globally and it's overall. So we do not say split it out into markets. So there's overall accumulative search trends.
Okay, right. And what is the expected trend length? And do you expect them to peak and decline within 12 months or so?
So not really. Essentially, what this is proving, and dopamine dressing is a great example of that, is that these trends essentially are not yet trending. So what's going to happen is over the year 2024, we're going to see an increase in these trends. What happens for some of them is that they'll peak over the year. For some other ones, they'll evolve in 2025 into something else. But essentially what's happening here and what's really important is that, we think of trends as what they are everywhere else. And trends is the best way for us to describe what it is that Pinterest predicts is. But really, we're talking about shifts in the zeitgeist, shifts in the mentality. And so because it's these big, deep-rooted trends rather than sort of very quick happening fads, they're going to slowly morph and evolve. So what that means for you as marketers is that if you're investing right now in the eclectic grandpa trend, it might evolve into something else. I'm going to give you an example of something, which is that 2 years ago, we had skinimalism as one of the trends, which was all about paring back your makeup and taking care of the skin on your face. Then last year, we moved to the head, and it was all about taking that up, and we had a trend called crown care, which was all about how to take care of more than just your face, but also your scalp, your hair. And then this year, it's slowly evolved into Head to Glow, where we can see that we're still really focusing on, that taking care of our bodies and self-care, but this time in a more holistic way. So things are really evolving. We're looking at things that are big cultural shifts, which is why, frankly, it's quite fun to look back, maybe at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, at the report and see what things made no sense at the beginning of the year. And now you go, oh, of course, over the past year, it's become so ubiquitous to, wear stripes. So it's something that evolves. I hope that answers the question.
Great. I think that was great. Now, I think a few of you have asked about the report. We shared it a few moments ago again. So if you didn't get a chance to snap the barcode, you can actually go to pinterestpredicts.com and you will see the 2024 trends there again. Okay, let's see a few more. Okay, there's an interesting one here, which is how can we make sure that a pin is evergreen and longer lasting? Now, this is actually an excellent question, and it does come back to what Claire was already explaining around understanding the behavior that users have, understanding when that topic rises and falls. But perhaps one thing that you didn't know is that content on Pinterest is everlasting by design. So unlike other social platforms where you may have content which is only distributed on organically, let's say in the first 24 hours or even in the first few hours, on Pinterest, a pin that you post today might be valid for 4 more months. It might go down through a little bit of a dip and then increasing again. So that spike and that longevity of content, making sure that you follow, of course, the current trends, that you also refresh your content every week at least, and ensuring that you are tapping into various different topics, which again, allow your content to be very versatile. It means that a pin that you create today might be coming back years from now. And the more people engage with your content, the more people share your pins, it actually will make your content everlasting. So this is one way to do it, or one thing to keep in mind, that content by design is in fact everlasting on Pinterest.
It's also a great thing to bear in mind also is what are the evergreen things about your brand, your product? What is your value proposition? Pinners are very sensitive. They're very, value driven sort of users. So if you create ads that really do feel evergreen to you and to the values of your business, they will then really tap into that constant, evolution, and will remain evergreen.
Right. Exactly. And the next one is going back to the previous years. So are the previous year's reports still available anywhere? And yes, if you just pop Pinterest Predicts 2023 into your search engine, you will see last year's content. And again, you might even want to go back 2 years back because some of these trends are interlinked and coming back now strongly. I think that almost covers all the questions that we have for now. And of course, we will follow up with the recording. We will follow up with the deck. And if there's any okay, do you have any tips for organic? So a few questions again around best practices for setting up campaigns and what objectives to use. Actually, so when you do paid campaigns, one of the best ways to go is to use a multi-objective strategy. So this is not only related to campaigns that are structured around the trend, but also when you activate on Pinterest. We are a full funnel platform, as Clément explained earlier, and we see best results when you tap into each of the stages of the funnel and when you reach your audiences in the best way with relevant messages when they're at the awareness stage. So a bit more open-minded, building that mental availability for your audience and really going for that broad reach across and outside of your immediate customer base. Then you would go further down and take these users into consideration stage, where you can use our traffic generating campaigns to really start to push users down the funnel and get them more engaged, use formats like our interactive ads. So you could use quiz ads, you could also use showcase ads. So all of these exciting formats that allow you to bring your brand story more to life and to tap into engagement. And then finally, in the conversion stage, performance has been our heart over the last years. So we have amazing shopping products. So you could have your product feed immediately displayed on Pinterest. And for each individual item of your product feed, we create a product pin, and you can have a scalable shopping campaign ready within minutes. And of course, conversion campaigns aiming to either prospect for new users or retarget. So all of this is possible. And again, reach out to your Pinterest colleagues so that we can, or to your Pinterest representatives, so that we can give you the best strategy for your brand and for your budgets and also for the goals that you want to achieve.
And just to add, if you're not sure who your representative is, please reach out to the team and we can direct you to the right people as well. And I think that is a wrap. That is our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great rest of your day.